What's up, Barnhill family, and welcome back to the channel.
Yo.
So, Nick, Aleksandar Rakić, Jan Blachowicz, unfortunate ending to a great fight, but this was an excellent matchup while it lasted.
Yeah, great main event for a pretty good card. You know, free fight nights are always fun, and they tend to bring out the best in some of these fighters. I think when the pay-per-views are on and there's some really big names, it can be kind of difficult to feel incentivized to get that $50K bonus just because there's always epic performances. But it seems like there's a little bit more up for the taking when there's an Apex card or it's a free fight night. It's like, you know what? If I go show out really big, I might get myself a big $50K bonus, which led to a bunch of great fights. I mean, the ladies did a great job. A couple of the new guys in the UFC did really good, but this main event definitely lived up to the hype. I thought that Jan Blachowicz or Blachowicz, I don't know. I bounced back and forth
Jan
with the name.
Blachowicz, I think is the right way to say it.
Yeah, I think that this was a big fight for him because, you know, if he would have taken a loss here, I don't really know if we're seeing him enter himself back into the title contention. But this was a big one for him, and you got to take the win any way you can. And even though there was a horrible injury that ended the night, it was a very great fight, a lot of action, quite competitive match. And I think Rakić showed us that he also very much belongs in that #1 contender matchup.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. When Aleksandar Rakić heals up from this knee injury, he is going to be right back in the mix. He showed us last night that, in my opinion, he is the fastest striker at all of light heavyweight. So he's excellent. He's only 30 years old. That's still very young for the bigger weight classes. So there's a really bright future ahead for Aleksandar Rakić. So he doesn't really lose any steam in my book, aside from, you know, just having to recover from this apparent knee injury, and hopefully that won't be too long for him. But you got to be happy for the Polish power. And you mentioned the fight night being fantastic. I mean, Ryan Spann with that guillotine choke of Ion Cutelaba, incredible job. Davey Grant looked like $1 million last night. So the guys on the undercard and the main card that were not the main event really did shine out as well. And so it was a great card all around. But Jan Blachowicz, in my opinion, was starting to run away with this fight when the injury happened, which makes it kind of unfortunate because you wanted to see that solidification and that rubber stamp of, okay, Jan is clearly the #1 contender now, and he's going to be set up for the winner of Glover versus Yuri. But I think, honestly, given the fact that there's so much excitement around this Polish-Czech rivalry, as it were, in that part of the world, and the stylistic matchup that would be Yuri versus Jan Blachowicz would be just too much to pass up on. And then obviously he's got a pass with Glover Teixeira that he'd like to get back. He said famously that he left his Polish power in the hotel room, so I'm sure he'd love to get that before he checks out and bring it into the octagon with him. So either way you slice it, I feel like Jan Blachowicz, his next fight's going to be for the belt.
Yeah, for sure. And he did say that Glover told him, you know, I guess they have a gentleman's agreement that if he wins his next fight and Glover wins, that they're going to, you know, have a rematch. And I think that's cool. You know, Glover did get his opportunity late in his career. Jan's slightly older, maybe not for his division, but still he's old. And
pushing 40 still.
Right, yeah, still. And looked great. But, you know, let's let these guys do their thing one or two more times before they do get a little bit too old to be top contenders. And look, when you got Ion Cutelaba, Ryan Spann, you got Rakić, you got Yuri, you've got all these exciting people, even some of the other guys, the Johnny Walkers that have kind of fizzled out a little bit. When you've got all these people in the division, there is eventually going to be a massive changing of the guard, and we're going to see some of these names that have been around forever just eventually start to fade out. And I don't think you're going to see Glover Teixeira or Jan Blachowicz stick around for a very long time just as another guy in the weight class. I think you're going to see Glover fight until he can't defend his belt anymore, and then I think you're going to see Jan give it one or two more title runs and then get out, and then we're going to have this clean slate of new fighters. And Rakić showed that he's definitely one of those guys. I think that Rakić could be a UFC champion.
Yeah, he's a future champion.
I think, you know, his striking's very crisp. He looks to be incredibly strong, and to show strength at the level he was showing it against a guy like Jan Blachowicz is really impressive, because Jan's a big guy first and foremost, but he's also known as a powerful guy himself and a strong guy himself. So Rakić really does have that youthful power and that man strength that comes after you turn about 30 years old, which I guess he must have just 30. Received. Yeah. So there are tons of fun matchups for him. I think it's going to take him probably 6 to 8 months. I'm no doctor. I don't really know that much about knee injuries aside from the few that I've had, but it looked like it was really bad on the outside of his leg. You could literally see whatever ligament it was pop and you could just see it move, and then obviously he had to call it quits. That's not how he wanted to go out, but it was really good to see it. He recognized it, Jan recognized it, the ref recognized it all at once, and he's able to live to fight another day. My guess is he has surgery within the next couple of days, and he's off for 6 to 8, maybe 9 months, but look to see that guy come back with vengeance, and I think there's some really fun fights for him to have once he returns.
No doubt about it. And I think he's going to have a speedy recovery. He's a young guy. He does all of the right things. You know, he sleeps in a hyperbaric chamber at altitude. He's very much into the rest, recovery, optimization side of the game, not just the physical training that's required to be an MMA fighter. So in those types of situations, when you do suffer an unfortunate injury, doing all of those other things correctly tend to help you have a speedier healing process. So I'm really hoping for that for Rakić, because I really liked what I saw last night. But the thing, talking about now the X's and O's of the fight itself, because we have to break down the just under 3 rounds that we saw. We saw the first round was Jan's round, in my opinion. And what Jan really showed us is, and he showed us this in the Adesanya fight, and quite frankly, most of his fights, is he's very economical with his strikes, and he makes one of his strikes hurt you and do more damage than 3 to 4 of your strikes. He did that against Izzy. Izzy was the more active fighter, but Jan clearly did the more damage. He's almost like a big Peter Yan. You know, Peter Yan is very good defensively. He's never out of position, and he always lands with extreme power when he throws. Jan Blachowicz is kind of like that, but in a 200-man size frame. So it's really quite astonishing to watch. And then you saw Rakić, who's he still possesses that pop and that power and that speed, but he's very fast. He throws a lot of shots. I think he was overextending just a touch in the first round with some of those twos trying to reach Jan's face, and that kind of made him heavy in the front leg. Jan did take advantage of that, tearing up the calf on Rakic's front leg, and you could see him wearing it with a massive hematoma that did slow him down in the later rounds. Jan also did a really good job of checking kicks. He gets a lot of credit for a lot of things he does well, but I think one of the best things he does is read kicks coming and check them well, and he's very good with that, and he's also good with finishing combinations with the low kick, and I think all of that kind of accumulated and didn't contribute. It contributed kind of in a roundabout way to the knee injury, because when you're chopping somebody's front leg, then they have to be more dependent on the back leg, and it causes them to move in some weird ways that could cause them to basically re-inflame a pre-existing injury. So I give all the credit in the world to Jan here. I do see some people saying that it was a cheap win, that it shouldn't really count as a win. He shouldn't be thrusted back into the title. I don't agree with that. I think he did everything he needed to do to show us that he's the number 1 contender.
Yeah, your goal in the sport is to do damage. And even if he didn't kick the leg at that exact time to put the guy down, he definitely was doing things to hurt Rakić and doing things to cause certain reactions out of Rakić. And if that made Rakić jump a certain way or twist his leg in a certain way, that's what the game is about. And it doesn't have to be one single shot that does it. It can be an accumulation of damage. And I just think that's what happened. I think he started to wear him down, and then eventually something went wrong. You know, Rakić is a guy with huge muscles all around his body. His legs were massive. And I think when you start to twist and turn on those ligaments like that, you're bound to have some injuries come about. And that's exactly what happened. Jan, to me, won this fight fair and square. And like you said, he was very smart with what he was choosing to do. I think that as far as ways to win and just knowing how to get your hand raised at the end of the day in MMA, Jan Blachowicz might be one of the most underrated guys on the entire roster, because the guy knows how to win rounds. He knows how to win fights. And at the end of the day, he knows how to win belts.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Guys, thanks so much for watching this video. If you're new here, like, comment, subscribe. We appreciate it all, and we will see you in the next one.
Peace.